what made you
What the-
say like
Right.
pull the trigger in real estate?
Because we had some background in real estate me through my dad's property, helping him manage that. And then for Esther, she has a partnership with her family to run a couple Airbnbs. So we both have like some type of exposure to it. And I feel like that's kind of why we gained the confidence to actually pull the trigger and just hit the floor
Real
running.
estate, find you the best rates. All throughout Philly, like Schuylkill Expressway. Talking to people who out of the 215, even
Hello,
the
everyone. This is
267.
John Lee, your local real estate agent in the Philadelphia and greater Philadelphia area. Very rare or seldom for me to have actually clients on the podcast, but Esther and Sey are two special people because they are people who just started their real estate journey and are one of the very few people that have actually, that I know personally, that have executed and went through from start to finish. And I thought it would be a great testament for other investors, especially newer investors, for them to share their story. So, Esther and also Say, tell the audience a little bit more about yourselves and who you guys are as people.
Yeah, so I can start us off. So we just got married this year. I actually moved up to Philadelphia back in June, and then we got married in July. So right after, actually, after I moved up to Philly, I think that's when we actually started looking for property. And it was just a busy month because we're getting ready for our wedding, but also at the same time we're looking for places for us to invest in.
Right.
And right after our wedding was when we actually found a house that we liked and bought it like a week, I think, after our wedding.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, what was the question again?
Yeah, so just like the dynamic of you as a couple, right?
Yeah.
Like I guess the question that I could kind of like start us off by is like a lot of the times one person is gung ho, right? Like, hey, I want to get
Right.
into real estate. The other person might be like, no, I do not want to get into real estate. Case in point, my wife and I, right? Like there was a fine balance of like what I wanted versus what she wanted, right? Like if I wanted it like what I wanted, I would look at it from dollars and cents and I'll be like living in the middle of Temple right now and
Mhm.
having a triplex with three bedrooms on each unit and capitalizing as much ROI as possible. But the wife went to Temple University and she knew exactly where I was going to be, which was on 19th and Diamond. She didn't want the place, right? So,
Right.
like, we settled in Jenkintown, right? Which was a
Right.
nice area, a good place to potentially raise a family. So, like, I was even surprised that she was okay with us settling on a duplex, right? Some couples, they're like, no, no duplex. Duplex is out of the question, right?
Mhm.
So how did you guys became like one, you're recently married, right? Congratulations,
Right.
obviously, right? But how do you guys make a decision as a unit together to get into this real estate investing thing? Because one, it's already hard enough to make the decision for one person, but adding a second person, how does that dynamic work for you guys?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty organic and like we typically are on the same page with a lot of these things like investment decisions or whatnot. And that's kind of the reason why I actually ended up uh falling for Esther, I guess, because I was checking out her Instagram and I'm seeing that she does like side hustles and like opens up Gopchang restaurants in Nova and then does Airbnb as well. And I don't know. I think like having a wife that is more what is it?
Like
Likes
entrepreneur
this.
minded, yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
just kind of makes it a lot easier for us to make a move on such as like buying a rental. So yeah.
I guess it's easier for you, say, right? Because for you, it's kind of like you found a partner that has the same, how do I say it, ideology or like, the concepts, right? For investing in real estate. I mean, Esther, let me ask you a question. Like, especially for other partners, right? More particularly, like let's just say with women, right? I think like they might like let's be real, like the real estate space is dominated by men, right? So like, what would you do specifically to encourage maybe a partner or a spouse that might be a bit more reluctant? Or even other women who are potentially afraid to get into the space, or how do you empower other women?
Oh, loaded question.
I know.
I don't know, from my experience, whether it was like business or real estate, I think I've I've had a lot of supporting figures like near me to give me good advice and kind of guide me to like the right way. And so I think in this circumstance, it was helpful that Say knew the area. And then with you as our real estate agent, it was like easy to navigate, like kind of like tell you where we want a property, what we're looking for. Because I think for us, it was first of all just figuring out like what we wanted in a real estate like property or investment, and then kind of like agreeing to what ABC things that we wanted in a property, and then actually finding one that fits our criteria.
And for full background, you guys have like no like obviously you're not like real estate agents or anything like that. Like say obviously you come from a background of like like service industry, restaurant type of like
Mhm.
food, right?
Food establishment.
Same same which Esther, same thing with you, right? And then you obviously dabbled and got into with Airbnb. So like walk us through your paths and how they ended up being together and how you guys ended up one obviously connecting with each other and being on the same page, and then how that ended up leading to the point where you guys were able to get into your investment property here in Philly.
Hmm. Yeah, so just for like a little bit of a background, I actually went to Temple University as well. And basically, I was not a good student at all. And my dad kind of got in a situation where he bought a mixed use commercial property with like a diner who he went into business um, with a diner on the first floor. And then basically he went into a partnership with this other guy and it went sour. And then while I was in college with no clear direction on where I wanted to go, my dad actually asked me to help manage the diner, and then also help out with like construction on the second and third floor units as well. So I was like a fish out of water, didn't know anything, and just kind of learned as I go with a lot of hiccups in there too. So um, after I started getting kind of involved, I kind of realized like this is kind of the path that I wanted to take actually. And then I started reading up on podcasts, I mean, reading up on articles, podcasts, books, whatever material on my spare time. And then tried to make, I guess, like this dream of like financial freedom. Um, yeah, start that. That makes sense.
Yeah, so like to kind of piggyback off of that, like say
Yeah.
like I like a lot of people don't know how hard you work, man. Like and just a testament to you and also your pops, like like
Yeah.
he didn't give it to you. You know what I mean? Obviously, these are all things that you have to give yourself credit to for our listeners, just because I know the context of his story is that you worked for many years and you still are working for many. Like hell, dude, you were paying rent, market rent, like like let's like come on, like that's unheard of. Like
Yeah.
my dad will let me stay in his place obviously for
Yeah.
free if he had one, but he was not
Yeah.
just charging you like below market rent. My man was charging you
Right.
market rent to stay there. So like there wasn't any handout. So
Yeah.
that's a testament to your work ethic. So that's one thing that I want to definitely
Yeah, just I guess like I don't know if you mentioned it, but yeah, me and Esther actually currently live in one of my dad's rentals.
Yeah.
I should probably talk to him like after our lease ends, renegotiate the terms, right? Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't a situation where it was just like, hey, given to you. I feel like I have to say that a lot of this was credited to your hard work and effort, and also your due diligence in finding, obviously, like a beautiful, marriage, and like the arrangements obviously you guys have with each other, and being on the same page with that. And then also like finding the resources, right, to the point where you guys felt comfortable with your investment property. So kudos to you. So Esther, I'm sure you might have a different take on this, so I just want to get that to you, kind of get your perspective as well as this kind of this process and
Well,
how
can you repeat the question again? Because
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the question is, you guys have different professional backgrounds, right? And like how that led into your influence of investing, but also like how you guys work together as a unit.
Um,
I gotcha. So I think like my just career background, it's just been like very diverse. So like I was in corporate and then I decided to completely change and do business for I think I want to say about like 6 years. So I opened one of the first like kung fu teas in North Carolina, made my money, sold it. And then that gave me the opportunity to be a partner in the Kopchang stories in Virginia. So I'm a partner for two of the locations there, which, I
For our non-Korean listeners, what exactly is that? Just
It's
okay,
it's a I want to say Korean barbecue place, but
yeah,
we also
all right,
specialize in Tustin, but it's a
okay,
Korean barbecue place.
okay,
it,
there you
it
go.
tastes really good.
Yeah. But yeah, I think back in like 2022, so I was, working full time at the Korean barbecue place as like a managing partner for like 2 years. And then once we had it set up and had managers in place, I was able to step away and kind of just have it run on its own, which gave me a lot more time. And then I actually switched back careers and then am back in corporate while running this business on the side. And I think um, for me, I kind of like that freedom where I don't have to be hands-on, but it still generates me money. And I think real estate is one of those things that, you can do to, like invest and then, it'll generate money as you go on. So I think that's one of the reasons why me and Say thought it would be good to start investing in real estate. Um, and so I guess that's how we got here.
Okay. So with that being said, like walk us through your first deal, right? From all the emotions to like the process and to where you guys are now. Walk us through that first deal.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how things turn out, but honest, when we actually tried to look for the property, or let me repeat that. When I started first looking for a property, I actually was single at the time, and I was about to actually close on a property with one of my best friends, and the deal just never ended up going through. And you were actually our agent at the time and showed us this property about a year before we closed on it. And yeah, and then what is it called again? Yeah, so the first deal, what I was interested in doing was finding a piece of real estate that was in like a prime location. So it was a little bit easier to rent, easier to kind of manage the tenants and not get those like um what is it? Yeah, and not have trouble leasing out the space. And then because it's like kind of like on the side. We still have like we still have jobs and like a lot of other responsibilities. So we kind of wanted to just for our first property, just invest in something that would be a little bit easier, even though it is a little bit more expensive, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, this was, I think, both our first time investing or buying a property under our names. And so um, for me, especially, I thought it was a very smooth and fast process because I think we started looking like in June and then we closed the deal on August 5th. So it was a
Oh,
very,
Esther, it was a
yeah,
lot longer prior.
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, my
For me, it
so
was fast.
Yeah, Esther, it was a
yeah.
lot longer than that, I'll tell you that
Yeah,
much.
the
Like,
search for like for me, like I knew from a long time ago I wanted to buy a property.
yeah.
Yeah, and John was my agent and he was like going through like endless like showings and like there's like nothing that came out of these showings. And then finally, I think I saw a Zillow post for the same property that John showed me a year ago. And it was actually they discounted it like I think like 50K.
Yeah.
And then that's when it piqued my interest again. And then at that time I was married to you, so yeah,
Yeah, it just so happened that you
happened.
came
So yeah,
at a great time, Esther.
I just walked in as
Yeah, she
everybody had.
walked in on the
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, yeah. But it doesn't stop there, right? So like obviously renovations need to be done, right? Some of the work that you guys obviously done yourselves, like walk us through that process. Like what do people think? Like when you watch those Instagram reels or like YouTube
Yeah.
shorts, like reality versus like the expectation versus reality, like what are some expectations that you guys might have had and what was the reality of this whole process?
I'd say that I kind of knew what to expect because I dealt with a lot of my dad's properties. So I kind of went into this knowing that like, yeah, we're gonna have to spend some money, like fix some things up, and then there's certain things that I could do as the property owner, like doing painting or doing a little bit of drywall work, and yeah. Yeah, and then I think like the biggest hurdle that we had was actually finding contractors to do stuff and like maintenance and things like that. It's all like pretty new to us and like it could get a little overwhelming at times, but I think me and Esther are still continuing to learn about it more.
Yeah, and I think in the beginning, to save costs, we did a lot of like the renovation, like the easy stuff, whereas it was like painting, just cleaning, and changing some of the hardware to updated, things. We did on our own, and I think it was fun, but at the same time, it was very like physically hard.
Yeah.
Especially because we're working our, 9 to 5 job, like, and then after work we'll go to the property and I think we would come home at like 11 o'clock and then go to work early the next day. So I think that was just physically draining for us. But it saved us money. We got the property rented out. So I mean, no regrets. But it is a process that
Yeah.
I didn't like anticipate to take so long and be so like physically demanding.
I mean, I can tell you like one of the most like memorable and bonding moments that I've had was actually with Jen and her family, like her mom and dad.
Mhm. Oh,
Because there was a property I had in West Philly, and my tenant, we had to file an eviction at the peak of COVID. So she was there 2 years or maybe a year and a half, almost like longer than she should have been, because obviously the court wasn't making any decisions because of, the world was going to end. And when I finally took possession of the property, I didn't have enough money to hire someone to do the work. So like I painted, Jen painted, Jen's mom and dad painted, like I did electrical work. I'd like change like, fixtures, light fixtures. I replaced the toilet. Like there was just so much going on in that house. I was scrubbing shit in the basement. Like they had a dog and left it in the basement, and there was just shit all over the basement. Like it was just like everything bad that you think could happen ended up happening in that home.
Yeah.
But I also remember Jen's mom and dad like bringing like packets of ramen, and we would just cook it on the stove, on that greasy ass stove, and just like eating it on the ground, and just like I know it sounds funny, but like those are memories, for me, and the bonding moments I've had with obviously with Jen and Jen's parents. So very grateful for those things. Um, would I want to do it again? I don't know. Maybe that's a question you guys want to ask yourselves, but and again, maybe I should leave that to the floor for you guys. Like, no, now that you kind of been through that process, like how important is it for you guys to know contractors, handyman, real estate agents, like title, everything, like every part of that process of the real estate transaction?
Oh man, I think it's so important to maintain a very good relationship with all of your contractors and your handyman and stuff like that. Um, yeah, because it's real estate. I don't know. I guess like when I was first getting into it, I thought that it would just be self-sustaining and like it would be pretty passive. But I don't know. Over time, I'm thinking like this thing is a lot more active than I would have thought. Like you're getting calls like all the time about tenants like, oh, the garbage disposal doesn't work, this and that. And like
Right.
sure, you could do it yourself, I guess, or you could teach yourself, but at some point in time, if you want to scale, you're gonna have to depend on these contractors. And I think like having a good relationship with them is just crucial for trying to start a real estate business. Yeah. And would I do it again? Yeah, it's fun. But I feel for you, man, because yeah, when you had to like when you finally took possession of the property and then all of a sudden you have all of these things you have to fix to get it rent ready. It's like doing that alone is it's a pretty hard thing to do. So I'm happy that at least you had the support of your family and your wife to kind of guide you through and like, keep you a little sane during that process for sure.
For sure, for sure. I mean, had I been on by myself, like, yeah, I
Oh
think
yeah.
I would have sold the place, or
Oh
I might have quit real estate. I don't know, but
yeah.
yeah, I could live to tell another day. I'd live for another day, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, Esther, quick question, like, investing in Philadelphia, like, what are you finding that it's a bit different here than it is, where you were or where you've been accustomed to?
Um, I think it's just different because like all of Philly, there's so many different pockets, and so like even the place that we purchased, it's in a nice area, but also like at night there are, like homeless people around and stuff. But
Yeah.
I think it's really different from like where I was the past like 4 years because I was in like Northern Virginia, like
Yeah.
rich area, like so like I wasn't really didn't live in the city, so I think it was like a new experience for me to like try to find a good location and just all these different pockets to like consider. Whereas like in Virginia, most people are just like purchasing like a house or like townhouse in the suburbs where it's like good and like
Yeah.
very quiet, I guess, since it's not like the city.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And like switching gears here, like where are you finding amongst whether it's your peers, or people that you know that have not made the decision to jump into real estate? And what are some of the things that allowed you to jump in yourselves? And what was the separation there as far as like making the decision between, what was the separation there between making the decision and not?
I think people are a little reluctant to start in real estate because they feel like they lack the experience or the knowledge to even start and like get their foot in the door. But um, yeah, I don't know. Mm, sorry, man, I got some ADHD. What was the question again?
So how'd you guys, so what made you
Oh
guys, like
yeah.
what made you
What the-
say, like
right.
pull the trigger in real estate? Because I can tell you right now, right, that there are a lot
Yeah.
of people that are reluctant to do it for whatever reason, right? So what are you finding that are the common reasons that people aren't doing it? And what made you do it? What made you say, yes, I want to do real
Uh,
estate?
yeah, I think it comes down to just a little bit of fear, I guess, and like just not knowing what you getting yourself into. But I mean, for us, I think like because we had some background in real estate and me through my dad's properties and manage helping him manage that, I felt a little bit more confident, I would say. And then for Esther, she actually has joined or she has a partnership with her family to run a couple Airbnbs in the Shenandoah area in Virginia. So we both have like some type of exposure to it, and it's not out of the blue. And I feel like that's kind of why we gained the confidence to actually pull the trigger and just hit the floor running, I guess. Yeah, hit the
Yeah.
ground running.
Well, and I think it's like circumstantial too, because like when I was in North Carolina, I mean I had the opportunity to buy like a townhouse or something because of course real estate back then, which was like 2018, 2019, it was relatively cheaper
Oh
before
yeah, that's
COVID.
true.
But at that time I had my eyes set on moving to Virginia. So I like stalled and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna look for, property in Virginia, which I highly regret now, just knowing what happened. Because
North
if I
Carolina's hot
purchased,
now. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
if I had purchased even like a small townhouse, like I think
Yeah.
it almost like doubled in price.
Ship sailed.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I think like the fear of just like putting an investment down is like, or like just your circumstance. If you have the opportunity or means to do it, I would definitely do it because I don't think there's a loss in like buying real estate.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think now that you mention it, I think there is another point to add is that I think in the city of Philadelphia, you do have an opportunity to do house hacking and different types of things to help supplement like income to pay off your mortgage. Like in certain areas like Virginia, like Nova and Charlotte and Raleigh, like they don't really have triplexes readily available, I guess, or not that I know of.
Right.
So yeah, it's just you're literally just parking your money into a single family home and then making monthly mortgage payments with nothing to
Sure.
no cash flow coming from it. So I think that's also another thing that made us more confident investing in Philadelphia in general. Not
So
in, yeah,
So you mentioned house hacking, right? So for our
yeah.
audience, like explain us how that works.
So I mean, pretty much, like house hacking, you would look for in your property search, you would try to find either at minimum like a duplex or triplex, live in one unit and rent out the others, and then get some type of cash flow to help pay for mortgage and other expenses and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, to take it even a step further, you can even buy a house, like even if it's a single family house or a townhouse, right?
And
Like
then,
you can rent each room out to friends if you want. Like again, that
yeah.
comes at a sacrifice. So Um, I guess that was why I asked the first question because the dynamic for some families, it just doesn't work that way, right? Like, either the husband or the wife or the girlfriend and the boyfriend, whatever you want to put it, right? One person of the party just is not down with it, right? So like, how would you? Because you're both on the same page, it's easy for, I guess, for all of us, like even for me and for Jen, my wife, for us to say, okay, let's do this duplex thing, or let's rent these rooms out while we're still living here. How do you, because that's the biggest hurdle, right? Like
Right.
starting, right?
Starting.
How
Yeah.
do you convince someone to house hack?
Um, you know what? Maybe you should. I, I didn't feel like I feel like we were pretty much on the same page, but very often I know like spouses and stuff, like they're so against the idea of it. But I don't know, for the long-term future, you could look at it as, um, buying this property for now and then upgrading at another point in time and then renting out the first property you purchase and then keep growing from there. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, I mean, even for like our Airbnb, like for our, like we have, a mortgage, but I think um, just to get enough stays to pay for the mortgage, like you're not losing money. So I think that was the same concept for me going into like, like a real estate investment. Like we can buy this property as long as we, lease it out, it will cover our expenses. So for me, like it's, like a win-win because you're gaining real estate, but also like your tenants are gonna pay for, the mortgage that's coming in. So for us, I mean, of course, the down payment is like a big chunk of change we have to put up front, but then going forward, there's no like big monthly expenses that we have to take out of our pocket because like whoever we rent it out to, it's being rented out and there's no extra money that we have to put in.
Right. Well,
Mhm.
it's the practicality. I think that's what it really comes down to. I think you guys are just so practical, you know? Yeah,
Yeah.
the practicality of it, it just makes sense, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's the thing that I had to convince Jen about. Like, hey, like, you want certain things in life, you want a certain lifestyle. Well, we need to, in order for us to get there, we need to build that. So, I love Jen to death because one, she's allowed me to do that. So for our audience, I think they know most of the audience know that I myself house hacked, and then ironically, here we are living. I'm doing this podcast in my in-laws' house. So like that's another house hack, I think, right? Or somewhat kind of similar. But that has now propelled us to be fortunate enough to now buy a home. So I'm in the process of myself buying a home. So we are actually now officially going to have a mortgage without a house hack. So I'm kind of scared for that as well. But it's a well-deserved thing for Jen because again, it was because the dynamic of it was it worked out, and your dynamic obviously works out very, very nicely. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, apart from that, where do you guys see yourselves as far as the future goes, right? You guys got the first deal off the belt, like you got it done. Where do you guys see yourself in the future, and what do you guys want to do, later down the line, 10 years down the line?
Hmm. Um, I say instead of paying down our mortgage with every dollar we earn, I kind of want to go through the next 5 years and acquire as many properties as possible. And then, um, yeah, I don't really have like an actual plan, but I know that if I keep acquiring, good things will come from it 5 years down the road, and we'll assess the situation then. But yeah.
Yeah, I think we're on similar pages whereas like from money that we save, I either, want to invest in more real estate or um, do another business. So whichever makes more sense, I think that's the path that, I'll take or we'll take
Mhm.
depending on the situation. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's so exciting for you guys. Like, because I know that, like, that's why this game of real estate is so beautiful because there's so many ways you can skin a cat. Like the other day, right? Say we talked about syndications, right? Investing in syndications. There's people out there that are wholesaling. There's people out there flipping. Seems like you guys are more into the acquiring, like rentals, right?
Hmm.
I mean, you could be a real estate agent, you could be title, you could be insurance. I mean, there's so many ways that you can make money, and that's why there's a team of people who are
Hmm.
supporting your business. And I think you guys are starting to realize that it ends up being who you know and how they can get you your work done, so to speak. And 5, 10 years down the line, I'm super excited for you guys and excited for where your journey is going to end up going. But apart from that, any particularly last words that you want to share with our audience or anything that you want to discuss that maybe I might have missed?
Having a good real estate agent is key.
Yo, I swear to God, I did not tell them to say
Yeah.
that.
No, but definitely like it was very
Yeah.
helpful
Yeah.
throughout the process because even John, once we bought the property, we did want to do like renovations and like
Right.
you gave us connections to, contractors. So it was really we were able to like work really quickly after we bought it. So that was really helpful. And just like, yeah, just gaining more contacts, especially if you want to keep building in the real estate, like side of business. I think that's like really crucial. And we learned firsthand how important it is. So, that was my one tip, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you say?
Um, I guess yeah, I don't really have a tip. Oh man. But I guess like it's not gonna come easy, but it's gonna be well worth your while once it gets situated. But yeah, I I guess just get into your first property. Just buy your first property and learn.
Okay.
My advice. Yeah.
And for our listeners, if they either can follow you or see what you guys are doing on any social media platform for that matter, where can they follow you or where can they reach out to you?
Oh,
Oh.
mine's Instagram, I guess. Or yeah, I guess that would probably be the best. So if you do post it, you can write my
Your
handle up
tag, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man, I am not active on social media. I'm actually a pretty private person, and I was actually pretty reluctant to even do this podcast. But man, John, it was I felt like I owed it to you for
Oh
the
man.
tremendous service you gave us as a real
No,
estate
yo,
agent.
dude, you guys, it's not because of me, man. Honestly, it's because of you guys. I'm so grateful to have people like you and to share these stories because they're real. So I just wanted to make sure I let the audience know that they heard these stories because most people that are listening, and I think I mentioned this to you guys off air, they're not 10 years in the business. Most of the people who are listening are people who want to start. And having people that are just like you that have made that decision already is really encouraging. And that's what I wanted to promote at this very moment. So thank you so much. All right, well, guys, definitely let's link up.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for the podcast and talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks for
John.
having
All
us,
right,
man.
guys. All right, see
All
ya.
right. Bye.
John Lee Real Estate, found you the best rate. All throughout Philly, like Schuylkill Expressway. Talking to people who out of the 215, even the 267, who always helping, like, oh, no time for no student.